That's right, everyone. Your eyes do not deceive you. We are finally on to part 3 of the updated studio tour. I had a lot of cleaning and other things to do, but we're here and we're going to tackle the main room this time. I will not be putting in clips in between a lot of these mentions like I did on the previous 2 installments because, as you can see from this room, there's a lot to get through, and I want you guys to be able to absorb it and not constantly get interrupted. It's fun when it was in the previous videos because they were shorter, but in this particular case, I think it's just best to go through the room. So we'll start with the top shelf up here on the left. We have the Ghostbusters Firehouse from Kenner. Inside we have the monsters, the classic monsters, and a few other monster figurines. There are some pots of slime. And up there, looking through the window, is my only childhood Madball, Screamin' Mimi. And he sits up there kind of like an Easter egg looking out the window here. That is my vintage childhood Madball. Here we have Action Men, one from the SAS and one a Classic Army. These were kindly gifted to me by Action Pop Dad and Analog Toys. And then right here we have the Ghostbusters, Filmation Ghostbusters Ghost Command playset with the car and Futura standing by the steps. That is a very rare playset, hard to get, and it is complete inside. And then we have my GoBots set up. We have not every GoBot, but we have a lot of them. Some of them from childhood. In fact, a good number of them are from childhood. I'm not going to go through which ones are which because they're just a lot here, as you can see. But yeah, I do have an affinity for the GoBots. I think they're underrated. Next up, we have Brave Star. And I believe I've added a few more figures to this collection since the last time I did a tour update. I could be wrong on that. It's been a long time. But I believe I added Scuzz and Fuzz before the last tour, but they may have been in the last tour. Here is the Crystar Crystal Castle. It is largely complete. There is a flag for this castle. It is not on the castle at the moment because the ceiling is too high. But it is there with the castle on the battlements under there. Kind of hard to see. All right, going down one shelf, we have the Superpowers shelf. And I just acquired, thanks to Scuba Pete, I acquired the McFarlane Invisible Jet for Superpowers Wonder Woman, which is the only McFarlane Superpowers item that I presently own. Everything else is authentic Kenner from 1984-85. Here is the cast of Filmation's Ghostbusters. All complete. Here is the Remco Mini Monsters playset with all the mini monsters. Some of them are glow-in-the-dark, and some of them are standard edition. I have a little bit of a mix. But I'm really glad that I have this playset because it's one that I remember from my childhood memories, but I didn't own it. Somebody else owned it. And here we have the real Ghostbusters, now with Louis Tully from Kenner. These are not the retro re-releases. These are all original. And all 4 of these guys are my childhood originals, which I'm still impressed that I was able to keep all that stuff intact. I didn't have the car back then, though, so I was really glad to get the car. This is my childhood Slimer as well. I didn't own the Stay Puft guy back then. All right, now we come to the Sectars. I have recently completed my Sectars collection thanks to Matt at Reclaimers Vintage Toys, but I don't have enough room yet to put Trancula in there with the last few figurines, so I haven't displayed them all yet. But I do have the Hive and every piece of the Sectars collection, including the new figurine that came out, the new figure of the female character that was going to be released in the 80s and then didn't. I can't remember what toy company that is, but I'll talk about that figure when I do the Sectars retrospective. And here's Secret Wars. That is my childhood turbo cycle, or doom cycle, I guess you'd call it. This is the turbo cycle. That's the Doom Cycle. That's my childhood Iron Man back there and childhood Captain America. Those are the only two figures I had. Everything else I've collected as an adult. Here are some of the villains and ancillary characters from Thundercats, including my childhood mail-away Mum-Ra and my childhood transformed Mum-Ra. The rest of these characters are my brothers, with the exception of Rataro, who was kindly gifted to the channel by Lio Convoy. And then we have Dick Tracy, a line that I know a lot of people aren't that interested in, but I love pulp heroes of the 30s, like the Shadow and the Rocketeer and the Phantom. So Dick Tracy was right up my alley as a kid. I have both of the cars, all the figures, including the blank back there, the very rare blank figure. And that blank figure is complete. There are the custom-made trench coats that my mother put together for me for that video I did about Dick Tracy a few years ago. And I have this entire collection boxed and carded as well, including the blank. And then right here we have sort of my catch-all area. This includes a lot of Mego stuff, such as the Mego Pocket Heroes with the spider car. You can see some DC Mego Pocket Heroes back there as well. There's Automan, who is a kind donation to the channel. There are my childhood Shadow figures from the 90s. Some classic Megos there, Hulk, Superman, and Spider-Man, who became even more famous when he was in Toy Fair's Twisted Mego Theater. My brother's childhood Inhumanoids. There is Cornelius from Mego Planet of the Apes that I restored on the channel. He was sent to me by Ruskwatch many years ago. And some other donated Megos, including Fonzie and sort of a Neo Mego of Rocky, who can also be recostumed into Rambo. Here are the Bucky O'Hare figures. All of them are here, including the Boss Fight Studios Jenny. And then down here are my childhood Smurfs, a donated Corgi James Bond Goldfinger car, and my childhood Hardee's California Raisins. These are the first wave. The first wave of California Raisins was 4 of them. They were super popular at the time, and it was hard to get all 4, but somehow we managed it back in the day. Here are the Thunderbirds, the die-cast Thunderbirds that were donated to the channel by Jody, and some slowly increasing E.T. paraphernalia that's been donated by Scott Hughes and a few other people over the years. I'm not an avid E.T. collector, but if you have a collection like this, E.T. just starts to slip in. All right, so here is the Wheeled Warriors that I did the video on quite a few years ago, and they're all happy and complete and sitting in the case. Captain Power. These are from my childhood, not including Pilot Chase and a few of the other figurines back there. The gentleman behind Corporal Pilot Chase is also not from childhood, but these 6 figures are. So what I did have of Captain Power, I kept in really good shape. Here is Karate Kid from Remco with a Secret of the Ninja Remco Ninja at the very back. I tried to collect the ones that had the costumes that were closest to the movie. There's a lot of costume variation with this line, and I wasn't interested in getting all of them. RoboCop from the RoboCop and the Ultra Police line. Now you will notice that the stickers on my patrol car have been falling off in place perfectly over the last year or two. I will eventually reattach these stickers. They simply dried out, popped off, and fell right where they should be. Here's the mail-away glow-in-the-dark RoboCop. And then, of course, I think he's called Ed 260 in the Kenner line, but it's Ed 209. Let me zoom in there so you can see him. And then we have the Kenner Knight Rider talking kit, the Knight 3000. There are my childhood gremlins in the back there. Thanks to Reclaimers Vintage Toys, I was able to get the bad guys for the 6-inch A-Team line. And here is the 6-inch A-Team line heroes, including Amy Allen and my childhood Face and Hannibal. Here's the 3 3/4-inch Galoob A-Team van with BA. Now, I don't have any other pieces of this collection except for some accessories. But if you want to see a great video about the 3 3/4-inch A-Team line, you need go nowhere else than Analog Toys. He did an amazing video on that entire range. Very impressive. Highly recommended. Here is Rambo, the Force of Freedom, Melinda's personal favorite in the collection. All of these figures are mostly complete. Most of them are 100% complete. In fact, the only figures that aren't are the ones back there like Chief and whatever that guy's name was, CJ, TJ, whatever his name was, and Snakebite. Snakebite is mostly complete. The other two need a little help. Here's Chuck Norris's Karate Commandos, the entire collection. Well, I should say the entire collection except for the black and gold variant of Super Ninja. I do own him, but he's not really display worthy. I need to get an upgraded copy of that figure at some point. We'll get around to it. Now we have the Star Trek area of the shelf. This includes the South Bend Star Trek Motion Picture Enterprise. We have the Galoob Star Trek figurines from the late 80s, including the aliens that were a very kind donation from a supporter of the channel. There's the Mego motion picture crew. I don't have any of the Mego motion picture aliens. They're very hard to find. Back there is the Toy Weaver Last Starfighter 2-pack with Grig and Alex. At some point I hope to do a video about them. Here are the Ertl Star Trek 3 figures, complete. Here's the die cast from Star Trek 3 from Ertl of the Enterprise. Here's my Battlestar Galactica setup. If you're wondering why there's a disembodied pair of legs there for one of the Cylons, it's because his upper waist went into a set of legs that was provided by Rob Bergeron for the upscaled Cylon Raider, which I talked about in my review of that toy. And here is the Buck Rogers and Black Hole area. This has the complete Buck Rogers collection minus the Space Command Center, which I reviewed in the video retrospective about Buck Rogers. I have it. I just don't have room to display it. My Black Hole figures are kind donations from supporters of the channel, including this amazing Vincent, which is not easy to get a hold of. But the rest of the Black Hole line is very rare and cost prohibitive, and I doubt that I'll be getting them anytime soon. All right, down here, this used to be the Bionic 6 area, but this is now my Lego Indiana Jones ambitions. You'll see my custom Last Crusade tank there. You'll also see right in front here the Brick Mania Saturday Matinee edition of the Truck Chase with the troop car and the cargo truck. Far superior to the Lego edition. Here is my much expanded on Well of Souls that I documented in several videos here on the channel last year. And my little Easter egg is my Lara Croft minifigure. And then over here we have the new black box Idol Temple with the original Idol Temple's, seaplane with Jock in the background, because that came with the original set. And down here, I got it for a pretty good price in a purchase on Bricklink. I got the complete Jungle Duel set from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So just thought I'd throw that in there as well since there was room for it. I upgraded Mutt and Spalko's weapons. All right, now we have Tron and Defenders of the Earth. I've done videos on Tron. I still need to do a video about Defenders of the Earth. I'll get to it. Here are the Centurions, the 5 main figures. I don't really plan to get any more beyond that. And here are the Visionaries. I don't have any vehicles. I don't have... if I have any pilot figures, it's unintentional, but I do want the vehicles and the pilots at some point. So we'll just have to see about that. That's going to be a while. All right, let's flip over here and go up to the top and do this shelf. So this is the very rare Robotech SDF-1 bridge playset from Matchbox with its floor plate, its floor panel on display behind it. Very rare piece. Really, really glad when I found it, and it was found 98% complete and 99% unbroken. And then we have the RoboForce Fortress of Steel with all of the RoboForce figurines or figures inside. I don't know why I keep saying figurines today. Here's a cool custom of Spider-Man that Toy Box was able to send me. My ubiquitous Applause Rocketeer. The Ninja Turtles Sewer playset, as well as the top, or should I say the, not the top, but the sort of pilot area for the Turtles blimp. The actual inflatable is packed away behind it, behind the sewer. An original Technodrome, which I showcased in my Ninja Turtles retrospective. It is complete. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, all the transforming morpher-headed figures, and the Megazord back there in their playset base, which I was able to acquire. These 3 extras right here have different heads because they reflect the cast changes that happened late in the Mighty Morphin run. These are actually harder to find than some of these right here, but if you know how to search for them and other people don't know exactly what they have, you can get them for a good price. Starriers, a really good collection that I started to acquire, and then Reclaimers Vintage Toys kind of helped me find the rest of them. I don't have everything from this line, but I think I have enough to eventually do a retrospective on it. Here is the Origins Castle Grayskull that I swapped out for my brother's childhood original, which is also complete. But I just wanted to start putting Origins on display, which I explained in my Origins Part 2 video that's on the channel right now. The Panache Place Castle of Lions playset, which I documented many, many years ago, right at the beginning of our channel's life. And my childhood original Pizza Hut Land Before Time hand puppets. Okay, down here we have the Origins representation of the Masters of the Universe figures. You'll notice I still have them in vintage vehicles right now. It's only because I already knew those vintage vehicles would fit in this shelf, so that's what I did. But I've got a good complement of them here. I will be doing another video kind of updating everybody on the whole Masters of the Universe Origins thing at some point. Bear with me. Childhood Moduloc there. All of these vehicles are childhood, except for Mantisaur, who was kindly donated to the channel. She-Ra back there behind the Horde and the Snake Men. Ninja Turtle van with the original Ninja Turtles cast. That's my childhood April and childhood Michelangelo right there, I believe. Oh, no, wait. This is my childhood April right here. This is my childhood Michelangelo. This is the original April, and my childhood April was the second variation, I found out. Childhood Usagi Yojimbo. All of these other figurines, keep saying figurines. All of these other figures are my brother's childhood originals, not including the Krang suit, and also not including the cartoon correct Shredder that I picked up from later in the line. Here is the Robotech shelf, aka the Macross shelf, aka the Southern Cross shelf, aka the Genesis Climber Moss Beta shelf, with a very kind donation of one of the rarest figures, Lunk, still on cardback no less. And yes, Min-May is there. Then we have our Star Trek Playmates section. There's the cast of Voyager with Voyager. Cast of TNG with the Enterprise D. The cast of DS9 with the DS9. And the original series cast with the original series Enterprise. Moving over here, we have the Silverhawks. Now including, finally, Hot Wing, who I wanted him since the very beginning when I was doing the original video, but I could never find one in good shape. And then I finally found a Hot Wing that was in really, really good shape. Couldn't have been more pleased. There's Over the Top, some very rare Sylvester Stallone figures from back in the 80s from his film Over the Top. The early 90s transforming Gadget Mobile with carded hidden Dr. Claw and Penny, Brain, and Inspector Gadget. Next up is the Transformers. I'm mostly an ARC Crew 84 guy. So here are the 84 Decepticons, including Reflector, who was kindly donated to the channel by one of Melinda's high school friends. My boxed Megatron. And the 84 ARC Crew themselves, all the Autobots. All complete, all original G1, no reissues. All right, down here we have some of the slightly later Transformers, Devastator, the other Seeker Jets, the Flip Bots, whatever they're called. They're not Stunticons. What are they called? I can't remember. The Dinobots, of course, are the best of the best when it comes to the slightly later Transformers. We have the Insecticons that came out right around the same time behind them. Thanks to my friend Kyle, I have one of the bootleg Machine Man, Robot Man radio Shackwaves back there that I worked on and completed. There's Perceptor, who was part of the donation from Melinda's high school friend. That is an actual Turbo Teen box model kit, and he's standing in front of it from the justifiably maligned 80s cartoon. Now back there is a toy from Star Musketeer Bismarck, which you might know better as Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs, but those toys weren't sold in the United States. There is Dietarn 3, my childhood Dietarn 3. And I did a sort of, not restoration, but I reunited him with his lone missing fist in a very early RetroBlasting video. Rock Lords, with a number of kind donations from Jody and Sal from 2 Cents Toys, including my childhood Slimestone and childhood whatever this guy's name is. It was my brother's. I don't know all the Rock Lords' names. Sue me. Thanks to Zantara and Jody, my recently completed Galaxy Rangers figure collection. They recently provided me with the capes for the villains, the various soft goods pieces. I couldn't be more thrilled. Thank you again. And we have the Gabriel Zorro and Lone Ranger figure sets, along with a custom of the Man with No Name, Clint Eastwood, done by Matthew LaCroix. And behind the Zorro figures back there that were donated to the channel, there's also the rare Lone Ranger mail-away playset still on its cardboard sprue. And then we have the Kenner Indiana Jones section. Now this custom Cairo Indy was made by Let's Toy on Instagram. He helped put this together for me. I can't be more grateful to him for doing that. Because Cairo Indy is, of course, my favorite representation of the character, and he's a huge Indiana Jones fan as well. Thank you so much. A custom of Marion from that same scene was donated by a supporter of the channel. Now back there is the carded Stan Solo Marion. And then we have the OG Kenner stuff. Back here are the LJN Temple of Doom Indiana Jones figures, all complete. Here are some of the retro collection figures from last year to fill out the collection. And back there you will see a very nice custom of Lara Croft that I snuck in there that was painted for me by LaCroix Toys, Matthew LaCroix. All right, here comes the M.A.S.K collection. So this is, let's back up here for a minute. This is the first season fleet of M.A.S.K vehicles. And there was a lot of help here with this. One of our earliest donations was a guy named Chris Rissmiller. And I was trying to collect up the M.A.S.K stuff at the time, and then he sent a massive donation of M.A.S.K stuff to us. And it really helped fill some gaps. Jody helped me source this sort of simulation of the unproduced shark that we all wanted because we wanted Gloria Baker to have her vehicle as well, but they never made it. And it's a nice display piece to kind of round out this group. This group always felt incomplete without the shark. As you probably saw from the video I did years ago, that display piece is very fragile and it can only really sit there. It can't really be fiddled with. Manta, Condor, the famous Switchblade, an icon of Gen X's childhood. All right, down here we have an incredible donation shelf. I think aside from the Panther Jeep right here and Quarrel and her bike, aside from that, everything, well, no, that's not true. I'm pretty sure I purchased this, but I could be wrong. This might also be a donation as well, the troop carrier, but this Robo-Skull was a shocking donation several years ago. That custom Action Force snake armor was donated by Scuba Pete. And everything else on this shelf, by and large, was donated by the Action Force expert George Aiken. And I do love that troop carrier. Next up is Willow from Tonka with the rare Eborsisk. There are Dragon Riders of the Styx. Not a complete figure collection, but each figure is complete. Back there are the Clash of the Titans figures from Mattel. I do not have the Kraken. Here are the Thundar the Barbarian figures that came out in the 2000s. And finally, we have Black Star. I think I'm only missing one figure from this collection. Next up is Starcom. Starcom is a very, very cool range of toys that are very frustrating to collect today because of all the wind-up motors. All right, down here is the Voltron shelf. And we have the original Matchbox Voltron right there, standing by the box to the original Popey Golion from Japan. Here are the Panache Place villains, the Panache Place coffins and tanks. And then right here we have my childhood Panache Place Voltron, along with a duplicated set of, when I say duplicated, I just mean I have extras, of the pilots. Here are all of their keys and all of the coffin badges. And then back here, sort of snuck in, you can see one of the role-play Voltron ray guns. All right, now we come to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Here's the Fortress of Fangs, along with Kellic and his minions. Tiamat, the very rare Tiamat dragon. There are all the heroes and Warduke. And there are the steeds for Warduke and Strongheart. And here is the cast of Crystar, along with their strange accessories. What a weird line they were. And then finally here we have Batman the Animated Series with the Shadowcast Batcave, the original Batmobile, the Rogues Gallery of Villains, the Batplane, and the later series Batmobile with the slightly redesigned Batman with Nightwing and Tim Drake Robin. All right, on to the final bit of the main toy room, the Star Wars wall. We start with the Death Star playset from Kenner. And this has a sort of storied history because this is the playset, the very one that I first saw that introduced me to the fact that this playset had ever existed. Sorry for hitting the case there. This was one that I saw when I was in like 3rd grade at a friend's house whose brother was older than us. And I couldn't believe that there had ever been a Death Star because I was a Return of the Jedi late Empire era kid. And then they sold it at the school garage sale a few years later for $2, and I bought it. And then I spent my lifetime restoring it. So it's now restored, and it used to be this other kids that I knew years and years ago. We have the Star Destroyer, which you've seen my Star Wars Follies on that, populated by my childhood bounty hunters. Up there in the Death Star is a rare dark brown-haired Luke Skywalker. Then we have the vintage AT-AT with a sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi retro Darth Vader at its feet. And then the retro collection board game Snowspeeder Luke with a vintage grapple belt from the equipment pack survival kit around his waist. And then we have the Imperial Shuttle with the Stan Solo Darth Vader that I'll be reviewing soon, with the Stan Solo Imperial Astromechs and the Emperor Imperial Dignitary and his entourage of Imperial Royal Guards, or Emperor's Royal Guards, that I'm sad to say are all my childhood ones because my My 5th birthday at Showbiz Pizza Place was crazy when it came to Darth Vader's and Emperor's Royal Guards as gifts. Then we have the Land of the Jawas, the Stan Solo Bantha. That is an authentic vinyl Cape Jawa there, not a reproduction. And we have the radio-controlled Sandcrawler. The Lars Homestead is from sort of a later Legacy collection, but it fits in very nicely with the Kenner stuff, along with the Power of the Force T-16 Skyhopper. There is my childhood land speeder. And that is a Last 17 Uncle Owen right there. Then down here, we have the Cantina Adventure set with a number of Stan Solo figures populating it. As well as, I believe, some, I think those are Pro Custom Figures Sand Troopers. There's the Stan Solo Ubrikian Land Speeder. There is the radio-controlled land speeder that was kindly donated to the channel a few years ago. Here is the Creature Cantina set with the Last 17 and Stan Solo figures helping populate the space, along with a cool custom of B. Arthur from the holiday special. Both versions of the Imperial Troop Transporter. The one on the left is the original that was very kindly donated by a supporter of the channel. And then the one on the right is one I bought for my collection years ago, as it was the Imperial Cruiser, and it was part of the Empire Strikes Back collection then. They had all the electronics removed. All right, down here we have the original TIE Fighter with some Pro Customs and Stan Solo figures of General Dodonna and his crew. Here is my treasured amber maple-haired Luke Skywalker. Some Pro Customs pilots, Stan Solo fleet troopers, an original Star Wars VHS, the original X-Wing, the gorgeous Stan Solo Yavin R2 and C-3PO, Darth Vader and his troops by his original TIE Fighter, which is my childhood original. And back there is the original Kenner Star Wars laser rifle. Behind the TIE Fighter, you might have seen the original Star Wars laser pistol. All right, down here we have the Hoth shelf, or one of the two Hoth shelves. This includes the boxed Empire laser pistol, 2 mini rigs, the Scout Walker, the Heroes of the Empire Strikes Back, both versions of the Tauntaun, solid and split belly, my childhood Empire Strikes Back VHS tape, a complete snow speeder, the variation of the Empire Strikes Back laser pistol. This one has different color knobs and different color triggers. And then we have the Hoth Command Center with a number of Stan Solo droids and astromechs helping to populate it. And then down here we have the Hoth Ice Planet with surrounding mini rigs. We have the Rebel, or I guess it was originally the Imperial Command Base or whatever it was called. I, of course, populate it with Rebels because that's what makes sense. There is the Empire Strikes Back laser rifle back there. The tripod cannon. And then the turret and probot set with invading snowtroopers. And a custom, I say custom, a Darth Vader with custom accessories is back there, along with a good old Wampa. All right, let's swing over here real quick and we'll do the other main Star Wars cabinets, and then we'll end everything with the central cabinet. All right, so here we have the Ewoks Battle Wagon from the Power of the Force line, along with my childhood plush Wicket, my two childhood snow speeders, my two childhood speeder bikes. This is my childhood Scout Walker, I believe. And one of these two guys is my childhood Rebel Commando. We have the Power of the Force 2 bunker there with a stand solo pop-up lightsaber R2 with the third leg. That's my childhood 3PO. Well, one of my childhood 3POs and my childhood Endor Han and Leia. The stand solo Ghosts of the Force. And the stand solo transparent Ghosts of the Force, or translucent. I have both sets. The Ewok catapult is in the background. Here is the Return of the Jedi laser pistol back there, along with the Endor mini rig, whatever it was called. And then we have all of our Ewoks on my childhood Ewok village. All right, now we have the Kenner Dagobah playset with Yoda hand puppet in the background. There is my childhood Yoda with the darker cane and the darker green skin next to, as a comparison, the original Empire Yoda with the orange snake and the light skin. There is a Sensor Scope R2 vintage, but with a stand solo third leg, and then we have a variant on Obi-Wan Kenobi back there as far as his gray hair. There's the custom that Brad Fife did for me of me as Bespin Luke Skywalker. I did not request that. He sent that to me as a surprise. There's the custom of Hambone McGillicuddy from Star Wars Follies fame. My childhood original Cloud Car with Cloud Car pilots. The Heroes of the Empire Strikes Back. The cardboard Cloud City playset with a good complement of Ugnaughts. The Bounty Hunters of the Empire Strikes Back. The Mini Rig Cap 2, and the Slave 1. All right, down here we have, in the background, another custom Michael that was sent to me by Keith Holmesley. And we have my childhood Rancor with the Return of the Jedi mini rigs. We have a variant of Jedi Luke Skywalker with the stand solo Ula. There is the Nex 17 Hermie Odal back there. That's an original Carbonite block for Power of the Force Carbonite Han. That is an original pop-up lightsaber R2. There is the Taiwan version, or sorry, not Taiwan, I should say, but painted hair version of Jedi Luke Skywalker. He does not have a painted face. There's the stand solo Slave Leia. There's the carded Power of the Force version of the stand solo Slave Leia. And here are Jabba's denizens around an original Power of the Force skiff. All right, next up we have my childhood original Return of the Jedi VHS next to my childhood original B-Wing and an original Power of the Force A-Wing from 1985 with corresponding figures. Another speeder bike with the Biker Scouts. There's my original childhood Endor Luke, and I gave him a vintage lightsaber to hold because that was just a crime that they didn't give him one. It was insane. Here are the incredible heroes of the rebellion, or leaders of the rebellion, I should say, including the the new Retro Collection Mon Mothma, the Biker Scout pistol, my childhood original Y-Wing from the Christmas of 1983, and that is my childhood original R5D4 hanging out. All right, now we have the Battle Damage TIE Fighter from 1983, the Palatoy Land Speeder, kindly donated to the channel by Tony Roberts of Analog Toys. We have the Palatoy X-Wing, also donated by Tony Roberts of Analog Toys. We have a mix of Stan Solo Astromechs, the Stan Solo droids C-3PO and R2 and R5D4, and the Pro Customs Mungo Baobab. That right there is my childhood Luke Skywalker and X-Wing pilot outfit with a, I don't think, that's not a childhood R2-D2, but it's one I picked up later. This is my childhood X-Wing fighter, though, with all of its battle damage stickers on it. Pro Customs Holiday Special Boba Fett and Krieg. Or, sorry, Admiral Screed. Krieg, what am I thinking of? It's Admiral Screed. Original 1984 TIE Interceptor. And then down here is a Stan Solo carded C-3PO from Droids. We also have my original King Gornish from Ewoks back there. I reunited him with his accessories and an original card back that still had the bubble on it with the coin inside. So that was kind of cool to put all that back together. This is the Star Wars themed part of the micro collection. The rest of my micro collection that used to be on display is now back in storage. And here are a number of the Star Wars 12-inch series. Now, if you're wondering about Chewbacca and his bandolier is complete and it's fine, but I keep it off of him laying on the floor sort of in front of him because it can actually melt into his skin, and I don't want to do that. You'll notice as an example that Boba Fett has a piece of like paper towel underneath his belt so that that doesn't happen to him. By the way, don't tell Broken Vader that that doll is back there, just if you don't mind. I really don't want him knowing. He'll be really, really mad. And here is the Imperial Troop Transport. Highly, highly underrated Kenner vehicle. All right. Lastly, in the central case, we have the Black Star Ice Castle, the rare Black Star Ice Castle. That top turret piece is not broken. I just have it sort of secured there gingerly so that it can still be on display with the castle without putting it at risk. And we have the Cat's Lair from Thundercats with my brother's childhood Thunder Tank and all of the characters, the heroes of the first two waves. That Cat's Lair is complete. Then next up we have Boulder Hill from M.A.S.K with some later vehicles on there, including my childhood Raven and my childhood Firefly. And here's another donation from George Aiken. The Action Force Command Center, outfitted with all manner of George Aitken donations. And just above the Action Force Command Center is its sister playset, staggeringly donated to the channel by William Kilford, the Palatoy Death Star, populated by my childhood Star Wars themed action figures. All of these are childhood originals, the figures, and this is William's childhood Death Star, so it all works out. Well, these are Stan Solo, but still, glad they're there. And my childhood Millennium Falcon sits with it, with all childhood Empire Strikes Back main characters. That is my very, very first Star Wars action figure right there, my first figure, Chewbacca. You can tell by the little marks of nail polish on his sort of haversack, his shoulder bag. Yes, everybody, that's my childhood Bespin Luke right there. And then finally, we have at the very top shelf, we have the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves Sherwood Forest from 1991, which is a redesign or reskin of the Ewok village with the sort of ballista and catapult siege weapons. You can see the catapult back there. The redone battle wagon, which was the Ewok battle wagon, but now it's for the Robin Hood line. This is the crossbow Kevin Costner Robin Hood. These are the main heroes from the line. Friar Tuck, Will Scarlet, Azim, Robin Hood, and Little John. And they are standing in front of the 2006 BBC Robin Hood Castle playset from Vivid Imaginations that was only sold in the UK. The figures for this line are actually taller than the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves figures, which means the castle actually scales a lot better with the Robin Hood line. And since the Robin Hood line had all of these siege weapons and, battering rams, but no castle to attack, I was so excited when I finally acquired one of these for my own collection. And sitting atop it are a number of the Kenner Dark Warriors, 2 more back there, and on the turret with the Sheriff of Nottingham. So this is the entire main toy room for the RetroBlasting studio. I hope this has been fun to see an update on it. I'm planning on doing a major update to this at some point in the near future, maybe within the next 18 months. I really want to start changing out a lot of the items in these cases because some things are going to stay forever, like the Star Wars stuff, and some things I really just want to swap out with other items that I'm more emotionally connected to. But that's not going to be for a while. But when that happens, I'll make sure to do an update. But I hope this has been fun. I'm sorry for the wait on it, but this room was real messy for a long time because I've been working on a lot of videos. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.